Hello and welcome back to Accessible Photography. Today I take you back to the Outer Hebrides and some scenes that I've not shared with you previously. In this episode I try hard to capture an image of the remains of an ancient broch. I do get a little distracted and find some heather and stone a little bit more interesting, but the broch and its surroundings was the main objective. I will discuss what a broch is and give a little bit of history of this one. I will also discuss near the end of the video the accessibility of this location, at least as far as I ventured, which was not right out to the broch itself. Finally, I will show photographs which are not groundbreaking, but acceptable considering the light and the horrendous wind I had to put up with. You join me now after leaving a very windy outcrop where I'd been photographing a beach, a bay and some farm buildings between rain showers. So I've set myself up at the side of the road here, actually using a tripod, and there's an old broch just over there. It's an ancient inhabitants. There's a board telling all about it along the way, and I've tried to line up a nice patch of heather and interesting rocks, and then the broch, and there's a hill behind. But the problem I've got is quite simple, it's out of balance. I'll show you the image I've got. I'm taking a few just now, it's almost directly into the sun as well. So the composition, foreground rocks, broch, that's quite nice, but the hill's in the wrong place. I think I need to move the hill. So what is a broch? Well, there are better examples on the Hebrides than this, but it is a circular fortified stone building dating back some 2,000 plus years. It is believed that within the circle stood a wooden dwelling house not unfamiliar to any other of that period. Just in these cases, it was surrounded by a massive double-walled structure. In this case, at some point, a rectangular hall was inserted into the pre-existing circular dun or broch. This wider view shows that the tidal loch has two islands connected by stone-built causeways. The outer islet has been used as a secure stronghold since prehistoric times. During the Iron Age, more than 2,000 years ago, a massive gallery dun or broch was built, which would have been occupied by the local tribal chieftain. In the turbulent later Middle Ages, a rectangular hall, as I said already, was inserted into the pre-existing circular dun, and the islands once again served as the residence and refuge for the local magnates. Sometime between 2,500 years ago and 2,000 years ago, the great circular dry stone tower was built, and it was a well-defended family residence as a conspicuous demonstration of power. Within the 3.5 metre thick walls were chambers and galleries, but the only opening to the outside world was a single small doorway. The causeways were narrower than they are today and sometimes included a rocking stone which would alert the occupants to the broch to the approach of unwelcome visitors. We do not know how far back in time the islands in the loch were inhabited, or even if they are entirely artificial. Other islets in North Uist have been found to go back more than 5,500 years to the Neolithic period. The only access then may have been by boat before building these causeways. So as I look for a better composition for the broch, I find this little bit of a loch in here, a nice shape to it, and decided to have a little go. The light's quite harsh now, surprisingly, and I could do with a bit of cloud in the background and a bit of balanced cloud because I've still got a hill to one side and not to the other. I might get something with it. I've set up, this is my setup here, and half in the water, half out of the water. A very light ND grad, a 0.3 on here, and the polarizer to try and darken this water as much as possible because I don't really want the reflections on it. And cars waiting to let other cars pass because it's a single track road up there. So what I'm doing here is f8 3/20th of a second at this light, and I've got the 2 second timer on because it's so windy. So I'm pressing the button and then getting right up to the camera to try and protect it from the buffeting of the wind. and I'm quite happy with that one. And I'm going to take a little wander around because it's a nice little area. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go far today. This seems fine. And Duke seems quite happy now. Or is that sheer boredom? I don't know. So I'm still scouting an image for this old broch, and I'm walking across the heather, and a lot of it's still in bloom. And I'd love to be able to get an image with all the heather, but I've got the image in my mind what I'd like, but it's really difficult to try and get the really nice in bloom heather with an interesting background. I've tried a couple of places over a couple of days and it's just not working. So I might just take a heather picture, a rock in heather. Let's see how that goes. Duke's in the water. So this is a bit of a Thomas Heaton shot, where you go off to somewhere quite spectacular and then you end up zooming in on a small detail, which you can probably get almost anywhere. Yeah, that's Thomas Heaton all over. Stone and heather. Two different types of heather there. In fact, there's about 3 different types of heather. And yeah, looks nice. And looking over the top, we can see a nice red-topped farmhouse, which I think I've photographed already. But it's amazing how you spot things. Waffling again. Best go check out my dog before he's drowning. I see him in the distance. He's watching me. Right, broch. Taking multiple exposures of this. Basically trying to get the broch and the island lit up with the background slightly darker, and I want to get the clouds in place, looking nice. The water, I can't do much with the water, almost directly into the sun, so the polarizer's doing not a lot to it. But the rock on the hill behind, I want to actually be glistening, because I want to really show that that difference in the rock and the eroded rock and the hill that's around it. Oh, really nice bright bit of sunshine, quick adjustment of the click on that. That's what I'm after. And I'm standing in front of the camera to protect it from the wind. So how did that come out? So heading back to the board, the car is actually about 200 metres in the other direction, 300 metres the other way. It's a very, very poor path. It's a track to the broch and the islands from the information board. Mildly accessible, but not for disabled people. So this is the board. Have a quick look, spinning the camera. As you can tell, it's still really, really windy and I can't keep this much steadier than it is. Oh my God. I think I'll be using this just to get some talk over as opposed to getting you to read it. Into the wind. Oh dear. Right, let's get back. Right, stay on the road. So the access is quite poor, to be perfectly honest. It's no more than a sheep track down towards the loch side. There's no hard standing anywhere, and the access onto the islands is pretty treacherous. It is tidal, and if the tide's in, you just won't get there at all. I don't know what it was when I was there, whether it was in, half in, or out, but I certainly wasn't going to get across to the islets at all. So I'm going to give this an accessibility level of 3. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and please subscribe. I don't ask very often. and I've got to ask more because apparently that's the way it works. Bye for now, but do remember, get out, take pictures and have fun.